Hey Watch fam, today I'm going to talk to you about a new and upcoming microbrand. I find myself loving and appreciating microbrands more and more. They have become an essential part of the watch collecting community, often daring to do things that the essential, more prominent brands won't do. I've reviewed several micro brands on this channel, including Laurier and Ferrer, and one that I would say has graduated to big brand status, Christopher Ward. Micro brands often take advantage of design and creativity and focus a little bit less on quality components. I would say Ferrer brands like Minty are definitely punching well above its weight class, but the historical micro brand usually do focus on some of these more fun design aesthetics of watch collecting. We often experience unique dial layouts, unique color schemes, and different handsets far beyond what you would see in traditional wristwatches from the traditional brands. These are similar themes that spoke to me when I came across the microbrand Studio Underdog. I was introduced to the brand about a year ago via Instagram, just scrolling through like normal. Studio Underdog draws its dial inspiration from some relatively strange items. They recently started pre-orders for a strawberry cheesecake dial, and their most famous line is watermelon. When the watermelon line opened up to the public for sale after the Kickstarter, I believe it sold out in 5 minutes. Those color choices are a bit bold for me, but I love the chronograph configuration enough, and I love the dial layout to try this one. It feels as if I've seen it before, but at the end of the day, I know that I haven't. The brand started on Kickstarters like many other micro brands. The campaign was simple and focused on bringing fun design elements back to watch collecting. While this is at the affordable end of watch collecting, I believe Studio Underdog has done a great job grabbing the attention of collectors at all budget levels. So let's really dive into the watch and start talking about the dial. In my opinion, the dial is the most essential part of the watch to get right. We see it every time we check the time, so a legible and appealing dial goes a long way. Deep down inside, I think we all love when someone notices or compliments our watch. While micro brands may not bring the brand awareness of an Omega or a Rolex, I've often found people are fascinated with cool things that they've not seen or experienced. When you get to brands like Studio Underdog and some of their limited runs, you can almost classify this as almost a bespoke watch. The Mint Ch0c Chip dial on the Studio Underdog is impressive. As the name indicates, it draws its color inspiration from mint chocolate chip ice cream. You get a beautiful light color of teal/green at the center, and the pigment becomes more vibrant as you approach the tachometer chapter ring. The Big Eye, the Big Eye sub-register utilized 3 shades of tan, giving the appearance of almost coffee in my opinion. The hour markers are very, very cool. They are applied with little chocolate chip chunks. Studio Underdog really delivers on the small details. I'm typically not a fan of dial with a lot of text. However, I love the way the designer played with the locations of the text. This sounds odd, but between 12 and 1, we have the Studio Underdog logo. I love the play on the word and subbing the 0 for an O. To the left, slightly below the 11 markers, you have Bicompact's ST-1901. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means later. The movement text ends at 12 o'clock and the logo starts at 12 o'clock. This off-center text somehow creates a very symmetrical appearance, which also makes the wearer feels like they've seen this watch before. At 6 p.m., we have the text mechanical hand winding. The chapter ring features what I believe is a tachometer scale. This is the only complaint I have about the watch. The beautifully thick and domed sapphire crystal makes it virtually impossible to read the tachometer scale. The sapphire crystal is approximately 2 millimeters thick, giving the perception of a little bit more depth on the dial than what it is. The chronograph registers features a running second hand and a 30-minute register. This is not an issue for me, but for some collectors, 30 minutes is not really practical or functional for everyday use. With that said, this is not a watch designed to replace or be the only watch in your collection. At $500, it is still expensive for non-collectors. That money can be spent on a more tried and true brand such as a Tissot, Hamilton, Seiko, or whatever if you need something with that functionality. But if you have a neutral collection, this is a great watch to bring some personality and a little bit of fun and pop of color to your watch box. Flipping the watch over gives us a beautiful look at the Seagull ST-1901. I love that Studio Underdog went with something a little bit different outside of a Sellita-based movement or one of the Seagull automatic movement. The Chinese government purchased this caliber in the 1960s from the Swiss. These movements can be purchased directly online from the manufacturer for about $140. Some collectors oppose watches with Chinese movements, particularly those retailing north of $200. This watch retailing for just a little bit over $600 is a fair price for what you're getting, in my opinion. The ST-1901 is a beautiful movement to look at, and an open display gives the owner a full view of the chronograph operations and gears. Studio Underdog updated the movement by adding blue screws and gold-plated wheels and gears that contrast extremely nicely against the Geneva striping. The ST-1901 brings collectors a manual wound bicomplex chronograph for around $600, and I would argue it's a more interesting movement to look at than another Sellita-based movement. If you're still a little bit wary about the movement, Studio Underdog does back this watch with a 2-year warranty. So the case is pretty straightforward, no significant callouts here. I love that this watch features square pushers, and while I would not call this necessarily vintage inspired, the dimensions is more in line with vintage aesthetics. The case is 38.5 millimeters, a watch nerd dream size for a chronograph. The watch is slightly over 14 millimeters thick and looks chunky but feels really great on the wrist. 2 millimeters of the case thickness is due to the thick sapphire crystal. On the side, we have some high polishing on the top of the 3-piece case construction and satin brush finish underneath. We also get minimal beveling around the lugs. Overall, the watch feels decently made. The chronograph pushers are not crunchy and are pretty soft, which is where the movement falls short from other Swiss chronographs. However, it's tough to find a manual wind chronograph with exceptional build quality under $2,000. You could do far worse than the Studio Underdog. Winding the crown feels easy and smooth, and I love watching the wheels turn. The strap looks like chocolate and I love it. However, the strap and buckle feels a little bit flimsy, and I imagine this is where the manufacturer chose to keep costs down. Again, us watch nerds know that you can easily find a strap, and I can't wait to get my hands on a couple different straps to really see what this looks like. So as always, thank you all for watching the channel. Thank you again for all the subscribers that have recently joined. You can also check out my Instagram page, JWillStudio without the S, where I post other watch content. As far as this channel goes, I am getting close to my first milestone of 500 subscribers, and as of the recording of this video, I am at 370. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe and drop a comment. I will see you all soon.